So, I've been working my butt off for over a decade to become the best producer I could possibly be. So now that I'm an expert, I've put in my 10,000 hours, or at least something pretty close to that. I want to show you guys 5 of the most helpful hacks that I've learned to save you guys years of learning time. I'm calling them hacks because it's trendy, but honestly, more than anything, they're tools. And if you utilize them properly, your music is going to improve dramatically. So make sure to watch all of them because you don't know which one is going to meet you right where you're at and get you to that next level where you want to be. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Hack number 1 is use formulas. Now, hear me out. I know this might make you feel like you're kind of losing some of the magic because music is supposed to be creative, and how can a formula possibly allow me to be more creative? But think about painting portraits, for example. You're pretty much always going to use a canvas, you're always going to use paint, and you're always going to use specific proportions to make sure the painting looks as accurate and as good as possible. But it doesn't ruin the magic of the painting. It just allows you to make it more accurate and, for lack of a better term, more professional. And it's the same for music. If you use a formula for production, you're going to make sure that you cover all your bases and give your song the best chance to sound as good as it possibly can. The thing is, formulas give you the freedom to express yourself more accurately. Another way of putting this is they help you get what's in your head to come out of a pair of speakers. What you want to do is you want to learn the rules so that you can break them tastefully. Many of the great painters, like Picasso, who's known for his crazy kind of abstract style, is capable of painting amazing realistic portraits. So he knows the rules, he knows the formulas, and because of that, he has way more control, and he can actually be intentional when he breaks the rules. So whether you want to follow the formulas exactly or do something totally different, it's going to be really helpful for you in the long run if you just learn them. So on that note, let's jump into Ableton, and I can show you my favorite formula for production. What's up, guys? It's Editor Ethan here. I just realized I completely forgot to say what the formula was, and I just started going right into each individual element of it. But real quick, let me tell you what it is. It's only 5 elements. It's bass, drums, mids, meaning like guitar, piano, strings, that type of stuff, and then vocals and effects. Drums, bass, mids, vocals, effects. That is my favorite formula for production, and let me show you that exact formula in action right inside of Ableton. All right, let's go. Alright, so here's the pre-chorus for my song Head on My Shoulder from one of my side projects called Earth to Ethan. This is what it sounds like.
Ooh, let's just get to kissing and hopping fences. Used to be defensive, that is till you came around.
So let's just break down that section element by element. So here are the drums by themselves. And then next up, I layered in a bass that sounds like this. And you can already feel things starting to build. And then after that, we have the mids, which is just kind of a warpy type synth, this cool kind of vocal patch from Contact, and then Serum just playing the chords. And in this song, the vocals really take it over the top. So first we have my lead vocal.
Let's just get to kissing and hopping fences. Used to be defensive.
And then we have the background vocals, which really add a lot.
Let's just get to kissing and hopping fences.
This is what they sound like by themselves.
Let's just get to kissing and hopping fences.
They sound kind of funky on their own, but with the lead vocal, they pair really nicely.
Let's just get to kissing and hopping fences.
Last but not least, we have effects. There's all kinds of weird stuff happening here. I did a bunch of vocal chops, and that's just an exhale patch, which is a plugin that you use in Contact. And then I have some weird stuff playing with the drums like this. That's with the snare right here. It can seem kind of subtle, but at the end of the day, these little effects go a long way. A lot of times it's that last 10% that makes it sound professional. And then we have these sweeps as well. And that takes us into the chorus.
That is till you came around, got me off the ground. So come put your head on my shoulder now.
So hopefully this gives you a basic idea of how you can use a formula like bass, drums, mids, vocals, and effects to make sure you have this mental checklist that you're going through as you're building a song out. And that way your song will sound more full and more finished. And it's a lot easier to work off of a framework instead of just guessing all the time. And then once you start finding drums that you like, or bass sounds, or different synth patches, you can use those elements on more than one song and actually start developing and building your sound as a producer. Okay, on to the next hack. Okay, my second hack is to use reference tracks. I do this for almost every song I produce or mix or master. And honestly, I can't express how big of a difference this has made over the years. This hack almost single-handedly got me from being an intermediate producer all the way to an advanced and professional producer. When I say use a reference, I mean find another professionally produced, mixed, and mastered song to compare your song to. So I'd recommend going on the Spotify Top 50 because pretty much all those songs have been worked on by the best of the best in this industry. They've each had a dedicated producer, a dedicated mixing engineer, and a dedicated mastering engineer. And when you hold your song up against a song like that, it's so much easier to see your blind spots, maybe catch some mistakes you made in your mixing or your mastering, and give your song the chance to sound as good as possible. I promise you the difference between using a reference and not using a reference is night and day. Let me put it this way. You're a lot more likely to achieve a desired outcome or a goal if you actually have a target to aim at. Otherwise, you're going to be aimless. You're going to be shooting in the dark, hoping that your song turns out good enough. So find a reference track, create a target to aim at, and then listen to that song, listen to your song, go back and forth, and adjust accordingly. I started doing this well over 10 years ago, and I still use references all the time. This is not something you're going to outgrow, so you might as well just start right now, especially because the more you do it, the better you get at it. If there's one thing you remember, it's that references help you realize where you're at, and they define where you want to be. Okay, so use references. Hack number 3 is use keyboard shortcuts. Now, a lot of you are probably rolling your eyes because it's like, obviously. And I almost didn't even include this in the list just because I've been doing it for so long and it seems second nature to me. But to be honest, there's probably a lot of keyboard shortcuts that you should be using, but you just don't know about them yet, so you're wasting time. I mean, if I had never used a keyboard shortcut up to this point, I probably would have made like 1/4 of the amount of music that I've made. Keyboard shortcuts have saved me weeks of life, so don't neglect them. It's like the equivalent of typing someone's phone number in every single time you want to text them. It's just a giant waste of time that can easily be avoided. So let's go ahead and jump into Ableton, and I'll show you my most used hotkeys, and hopefully we can fill in some of the gaps, and maybe show you some of the hotkeys that you're not using that could save you a ton of time. Okay, so here are the keyboard shortcuts that I use all the time. First ones are copy and paste, Command-C to copy, Command-V to paste, Command-D to duplicate, and this is super helpful for like 4 on the floor and EDM stuff. You can just highlight a whole section and press Command-D. Super quick and convenient. And then I use Command-J to consolidate. So instead of these 4 clips here, I can just highlight the whole section and press Command-J, and it'll turn this all into one clip. Super convenient. I use Command-T to make new tracks. And this is an audio track, so I can drag samples and stuff onto it, or I can record my voice onto it. And then Command-Shift-T makes a new MIDI track. And this is if we want to play like a piano part or a synth part and tell that MIDI instrument what notes we want it to play. And to make a new MIDI clip, you press Command-Shift-M. And once you do, it should bring up the piano roll down here. You can draw in whatever notes you want. And then if we go to the left here under Instruments, we can just find a piano, and it'll play the notes that we drew in. So that's how you make a MIDI track and make a MIDI clip. So next up, we have vocals. In Ableton, when you're comping vocals, you want to record the same part of the song over and over to give yourself multiple takes to work with. And instead of right-clicking on the track and going down here to show take lanes, so you can scroll down and see all the takes that you've done, you can just press Command-Option-U. That's a really convenient way to just open up the take lanes, and then you can use these little speaker icons and listen through each take. Highlight the parts that you like and press enter. Make sure to click on the speaker icon here to the right to unsolo it. And you can keep highlighting and pressing enter and put together your ideal vocal take. It'll move all those takes right up top. And this is a super convenient way to comp vocals. And thank God that Ableton finally introduced this because it was one of the biggest things holding it back. I'm going to press Command-Option-U to hide these take lanes. My last hotkey recommendation is when I'm ready to export. What I usually do is I find the start of the song. I'll go up to this little space here at the top of the project, wherever the start is, and I'll right click and I'll click Add Locator. And then I'll type in start so I know where the song starts. I already have that, so I'm just going to delete this one. And I also do the same thing at the end of the song. So then I click at the end, and I'll go up here to the left so the magnifying glass shows up, and I'll click at the beginning of the track, and then I'll hold shift and click where start is. Basically what you want to do is you just want to highlight the whole song from beginning to end, and then you press Command-Shift-R, and that's how you export. This may seem like a simple one, but you'd be surprised how often you export tracks, and this can really be a big time saver. I know there's other people who go crazy on the hotkeys, and maybe you know and you use even more than I do, but these are the ones that have been the most helpful for me. Real quick, if you feel like you're learning anything right now, or you're just enjoying the entertainment, I would love for you to consider subscribing and giving me the chance to help you make the best music that you're capable of. Okay, back to the video. Alrighty, hack number 4 is to back up. You gotta back up your sessions, your exports, all of your hard work. You can be the best producer in the world, but if you only have one copy of your masterpiece that you're working on, and that gets deleted or the hard drive gets corrupted, then you are absolutely screwed. So let me tell you how I stay organized, because my storage method used to just be complete chaos, and I found a way to be organized. It's very low maintenance. It's super easy to collaborate and share projects and exports with people, and I think it's gonna really help you out. Now, you might have heard the expression, 2 is 1 and 1 is none. That means if your project file or your song only exists in one location, that's really bad. You want to have it in at least 2 places so you always have a backup. My friend who used to work with Kanye's team said that they had a standard where if it didn't live in 3 places, then it didn't exist. So what I do is I work off of an external drive. It's a SanDisk SSD, and on that drive, I have my Dropbox folder. And in that Dropbox folder, I have my other folders like my sessions folder with all my projects. I have my personal exports. I have my business exports for clients. And then if I'm working with a client long term, I'll give them their own personal folder. And because I'm working on everything within that Dropbox folder, it's automatically uploading all the changes right to the cloud so that I don't lose any of my progress. Now, I personally pay $45 a month for Dropbox, and I know that may seem like a lot, but for me, the peace of mind is well worth the money, especially when you start taking on a bunch of clients and there's thousands of dollars on the line. You can't afford to just lose a project. So real quick, let's jump back into Ableton. I'll show you how to save projects properly into that folder, because there's a right way and there's a wrong way. So just make sure that you stick with me. Alrighty, first things first, I'm just going to open Finder. And if we go down here to the left, we can find my SSD drive. And there's all kinds of other stuff on here. But the main thing I want to show you guys is right here. This is my Dropbox folder. When you download the Dropbox app, you can go into Preferences and go to the Sync tab right here. And then down here where it says Dropbox folder location, you can pick and choose exactly where you want the folder to be. And you can even choose an external drive, which is what I've done. And once I go into this folder, you'll see that I have all kinds of subfolders, and anytime I update anything in these folders, it's automatically updating it to Dropbox and saving it to the cloud so I don't lose anything at all. Now, some of these folders are blurred because I have confidentiality stuff with certain clients, but here's an example of a client folder. This is Mark Barlow. I produced his album Soul Hymns, and within here there's different exports, there's instrumentals, there's all the projects for his album Soul Hymns, and all this stuff is not only on the hard drive, but it's also backed up to the cloud, and I can rest at ease that we're not going to lose any of it. So if I go to my sessions folder and I open up one of my sessions in Ableton, anytime I edit anything in this project, like if I save, for example, it's going to update to Dropbox. But the thing is, Ableton doesn't automatically save all these kick samples, all these individual percussion things. It just saves the project without all the elements within the project. So to make sure that you save everything together so that you back everything up properly, and you can also send projects to clients or to people that you're collaborating with, what you want to make sure you do is go to File, Collect All, and Save. This is an absolute must. Now, as far as I know, you only have to do this once, and then every time you save after, it'll save additional things that you add to the project. But just in case, it's good to get in the habit of collect all and save anytime you're done working on a project for the day and you're going to exit out of Ableton. And also, just to be safe, just make sure all these say yes and then hit OK. And it may take a little bit to save everything, but once you do that, then you can share this entire project file with someone, and assuming they have all the same plugins as you and the same version of Ableton, they should be able to open it no problem with all the samples and everything inside it as well. In my opinion, this is the best way to work because everything updates automatically to the cloud, and especially because you don't have samples all over the place, it's all put neatly into one project folder. If you don't do this, you probably should. Alrighty, last but not least, we have hack number 5, and that is to focus more on quality than quantity. Now, if this seems kind of basic to you, give me a second to explain myself. This is how I used to produce. I would think, okay, I need some drums. So I would drag kind of any old kick in, and I'd drag any old snare in, maybe some hi-hats, a little percussion, and I'd be like, boom, there's my drums, we're good to go. And I wouldn't think too much about the individual sounds. And then I would move on to bass. I would make sure the bass was playing the right notes for the chords. Okay, good, we got bass. Then I move on to guitar or piano, just making sure I got all the chords in there, and then vocals and effects. That's our formula from hack number 1. And the problem is, if something didn't sound very good, I would try to add in another element to compensate. And sometimes it would kind of work, but most of the time it would end up making things just messy and more cluttered. And instead of fixing a mediocre element, I would try to hide it by adding another mediocre element. And you know, this is fine in the beginning stages of a song, like when you're just trying to get an idea down really quickly, but it is a horrible policy in the long run because a bunch of mediocre elements will lead to a mediocre track. It's not like you're gonna get mediocre bike tires, a mediocre frame, a mediocre chain, and all of a sudden once you put it together, it's gonna be the best bike ever. Hopefully that makes sense. The sum of a bunch of mediocre parts is going to be mediocre. And for me, the shift happened when I started thinking about each and every element and trying to make each one sound as good as it could possibly be. Especially trying to make sure that each instrument was playing a cool part or the best part possible for the song. And that's really when things started sounding way more professional. What happened was I started thinking about things as if I was in a band and we were at the studio. And I thought, what if there was a studio musician or a band member playing this element? What would they play? What would their parts be? Not just, I need to put some bass in my song. So instead of, oh, I need some bass here, it's, what would be a cool bass part for this song? Pretend like there's a band, you're in the band, and you're the bass player. What is the part that you write for the song on that one single instrument? And then when you're done with that, you can put on the guitarist hat, or the keyboard hat, or the drummer hat. And if you've never approached production this way, it is an absolute game changer. So I would highly advise trying to put this into practice. Seriously, like even after this video, if you've been stuck on a song, just go back to that song and address each element in the song as if you're that member in the band, as if you're the drummer, or the bassist, or guitarist, and just do that for each element. And if you think about it, this is how all the top restaurants in the world serve the best food. They don't put a bunch of mediocre ingredients together. They focus on making each and every ingredient as good as it could possibly be. And if you do this, your music will improve dramatically. And I am living proof of that. And some of you watching this are just starting out in that journey. You really love listening to music, but you actually want to try making it. And if that's you, I have a step-by-step guide on how to go from a beginner producer all the way to advanced and professional. It's called Complete Producer Pro, and it's designed to help you make industry standard music from the comfort of your own home. And this is whether you're just starting out, or maybe you've actually been at this for a while and you are stuck trying to figure out how to get to that next level. Your music isn't sounding the way you want it to, and you don't know how to get to where you want to be. So if that's you, then check out my free 1-hour training. I'll put a link in the description of the video, and you can check out some of the course for free and see if it's right for you. And from the bottom of my heart, I hope that these hacks turn into tools for you, and I hope that you're able to use them every single day to make the best music that you're capable of. Make sure to comment any questions or feedback, as I read all the comments and I try to respond when I can. And more than anything, remember to stop making excuses and start making music. Cheers. Whew.